Welcome to Brief Encounters, the DC Bar Community's podcast channel. My name is Muzella Perry Ademilu. I am the creator of the Practice of Life, a member of the Lawyer Wellbeing Community Working Group, and I am honored to be your host today. The legal profession demands that we think clearly, decide carefully, and perform consistently, often under sustained pressure. Yet one of the most immediate tools for maintaining clarity is something you carry with you at every moment: your breath. We're joined today by Lauren Watkins, founder of Breath is Medicine. Lauren works with high-performing professionals to help them regulate their state, think clearly under pressure, and maintain effectiveness in demanding environments. Lauren, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Your company name, Breath is Medicine, is both simple and powerful. Before we explore specific techniques, can you share what led you to that name and why you believe breath is such an essential resource for people operating in high-demand professions?
Sure. So Breath is Medicine came from a very personal realization for me that some of the most powerful tools for healing, for accessing intuition and resilience are already built inside the body. So we tend to look outside of ourselves for solutions often. We are looking for another strategy, another productivity tool, something else that's going to supposedly make us feel better. But I found that something just as simple as breath and something as accessible as breath can still create real shifts in how we think, how we feel, and ultimately how we respond. Breath is, one of those functions that's automatic, but it's also trainable. So that means we can directly access our stress response, and it also helps us shift our state in real time, which I think is just so cool. For people specifically in high demand professions, that's incredibly valuable. When we're in those high stakes, your greatest asset is going to be your ability to stay in the moment, to find the clarity that you need and regulate under that pressure.
Great, very insightful. And you don't come from a legal background, but you have spent significant time observing high-performing professionals. What patterns do you consistently notice in how people respond physiologically to sustained pressure?
One of the biggest patterns I see is that people normalize their stress. They've been operating under such pressure for so long that their intensity, they're being rushed all the time, just this mental overload begins to feel normal. But with that, recovery gets impacted. So they can push really hard, right? But that downshift doesn't come as easily for them. So even though the workday might be over, the body doesn't always get that message. And that looks like struggling to unwind at the end of the day, or interrupted sleep patterns, or even chronic fatigue sometimes. Another pattern that I see often is that just under this sustained pressure, performance eventually decreases. It might look like they're functioning at a high level on the outside, but internally they become more reactive. They lose patience more quickly. They're even less creative. So it's not even just the health implications, but it's also relationships too. And even sometimes the relationships with themselves. I can meet with a lot of people that almost don't feel like themselves anymore. Common thing I hear.
Right, that makes a great deal of sense. And what's probably surprising to many of us to hear you say people normalize their stress.
Yeah.
So Lauren, many attorneys think of stress as simply part of the job. And often when people are told to just breathe, it can feel very overly simplistic, particularly when deadlines and stakes are high. So from a physiological perspective, what is actually happening in the body when someone is in a prolonged state of pressure? And why does breath have such a direct impact on our ability to think clearly and respond effectively?
So I actually understand the skepticism, right? Like the just breathe really can sound dismissive when somebody is carrying real pressure. So I can emphasize with that. I think it's important to say though that stress isn't the enemy. Stress is a part of life. It's how we adapt, it's how we grow and build strength and develop our resilience. So in short bursts, it can sharpen focus, it can create the surge of energy that helps us meet a challenge when we need it. So that response is quite useful. And ideally, stress actually moves in a cycle. It has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end. A trigger will happen, right? Like a deadline or a conflict or a threat arises. The body can mobilize and it starts to increase the heart rate. Our hormones get released, our muscles prepare for action. And then once the moment has passed, then we get to recover. The body comes back down, it gets to receive signals of safety, and then the tension gets to release and ultimately return back to balance. Where stress becomes the problem, though, is when that cycle never actually gets to fully recover. So the body can keep gearing up, but it actually never gets the message that it's okay to stand down. So that can happen through just a chronic workload, constant pressure, and it can also happen after difficult traumatic experiences. So sometimes the event has maybe ended, but the body is still carrying the imprint of it. And that remains in this like hyper alert, hyper vigilant, kind of braced state. And that can last sometimes long, long after the moment is over. So, yeah, when the body is just in that state for too long, it can affect almost every system inside the body, your sleep, digestion, hormones, immune functions, mood, focus, I mean, everything. And for too long, then that can contribute to things like burnout or even chronic illness.
Yes, thank you. It really makes a difference to hear the why through a scientific and a medical perspective. That's a lot of information. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. People often sometimes think too it's a problem with them when really it's just their system that's been in protection mode. Like your system's actually doing everything right to protect itself. And so breath really becomes that powerful component because it can help complete that stress cycle. So not only just like slowing down the breath or regulating the breath signal safety, but also breathing can also help move what's been held on so tightly inside. So it gives tension, emotion, the stored activation somewhere to go, something to do. So instead of it remaining trapped inside the body, it actually can create tremendous amount of energy because it's no longer pressing up against whatever it's kind of holding tightly.
Right. And we'll just take this a little deeper. If someone has 60 seconds before a high stakes meeting, negotiation, or a courtroom appearance, how can they use their breath to quickly shift their state and support clarity and steadiness?
60 seconds. Okay, so keeping it super simple. The first thing I'd start with is just planting your feet on the ground. Let the posture sit up nice and tall. Even just that can create a real sense of stability in the body. And then low and slow. So a nose breath, closing the mouth. You'll breathe in through the nose, but all the way down to the belly. So if you want to place your hands down to the belly too, that can be helpful to direct your breath down there. So breathing in, down, in through the nose, down to the belly, and then exhaling really slow. And just doing a few rounds of that belly breath really sends the signal to the nervous system that says I'm safe versus kind of that higher chest, upper chest breathing can be kind of frenetic. That lower belly breath just says I feel safe. I might even repeat that to myself, like I'm safe, I'm here, I'm grounded. So just letting your attention and your focus on those sensations of breathing and your feet on the floor can really bring you quite quickly into presence. There's one more tool that I think is quite effective as well that I'll give you. I love it for real-time moments too. It's called the physiological sigh. So this one is 2 short inhales through the nose and then 1 long, slow exhale out through your mouth. So it's going to sound like this. If you can sigh and kind of make that audible exhale, that's going to be really great to cue that nervous system into that downshift mode and get you out of urgency. So your heart rate's going to drop as that exhale lengthens. Your shoulders are going to soften. And, within a couple breaths, the whole room doesn't even know that you have reset your whole system.
Excellent. Now, that's something people can practice and use immediately. And I was practicing along with you, and I hope the audience is as well. Now, as we all know, in high stakes professions like law, performance is everything. How do practices like breath regulation support not only personal well being, but also the quality of how we show up professionally, including decision making, communication, and presence?
You can be incredibly skilled, but if your system is overloaded, if you are dysregulated, it becomes really hard to do your best thinking. I think we can all relate to that. So, decision making can become impulsive, communication becomes more defensive, and presence is like out the window. For attorneys, clients are often coming to you in their most vulnerable moments. So they need you sharp, yes, of course, but they also need you attuned and present. Breath is just one of those fastest ways that I know how to like really return to that state of presence. And the most effective work really starts from there. It's interesting too, because nervous systems also read each other. So calm can be just as contagious as stress can. And so when you're regulated, you're not just helping yourself, but you're also helping all the nervous systems that are in the room. So clients who are overwhelmed or anxious, like that can really go a long way to even help stabilize them, which is so cool. That's really the heart of my work, is just helping people regulate their system so that they can have better access to the skills and wisdoms that they already have.
Wow, well said, Lauren, and thank you for that. That's very insightful. For someone who resonates with what we've discussed today and feels depleted or mentally fatigued, where would you suggest they begin without feeling overwhelmed?
Right? It can kind of be like doing more, you have to do more. Well, depletion is not any kind of failure. And what is happening when somebody feels that level of fatigue and just being drained is somebody that's been really giving without a practice that returns them to themselves. So the nervous system has likely been in a high demand state for a very long time. And the first thing I would offer is simply just notice. Like, notice right now where you are. Is your jaw clenched right now? Are your shoulders kind of tight and up to your ears? Have you been holding your breath this whole time, or have you been breathing deep into the belly? So, even just a moment, these small moments of witnessing the self and being able to consciously relax the body without trying to fix anything, that's already a pretty powerful form of regulation. And any kind of pockets, like starting small, stepping outside for 5 minutes, taking those longer, slower belly breaths, going for a short walk without the phone, really reducing some of the stimulation that you have. Those small resets can really matter more than people think. I might even encourage people to really ask themselves, is this exhaustion from like their efforting, or is it maybe that they've never truly recovered? A lot of high performers that I know, they know how to push, but they don't necessarily feel that it's safe to come back down. And I get that. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight in one go, of course, but often the path forward really just starts with helping your system feel more supported and safe enough to relax, which I get can be really terrifying if you've been in a system that celebrates the grind or you've been really valued for your output. So that's a lot of where, having some guidance can be really helpful. When you're depleted, it's really hard to lead yourself. And working with someone that you trust can create that kind of structure, the accountability, and just a more effective path towards feeling like yourself again.
Great. That makes a great deal of sense. Before we close, is there one simple technique you would recommend that listeners could begin using immediately? I've already shared some, but something practical that they can incorporate into their day without needing too much additional time or preparation?
Okay, so this is one of my favorites to share because it really makes people feel like they have a secret weapon. It's actually one of the tools that they use for the Navy SEALs in their training, some of the highest performing humans on this planet. So this one is called the box breath. And don't do this one if you are driving, because we will be doing breath holds. And sometimes when we're holding our breath, that can make us kind of lightheaded. So if you are not driving, you can do this one with us. So the structure for box breath is really simple. It's 4 equal sides, just like a box. So you'll inhale for a count of 4, you'll hold for a count of 4, and then you'll exhale for a count of 4, and then you'll hold the breath out for a count of 4. That structure really helps the mind getting out of a thought loop because it kind of keeps you focused on something else. And the holds can really activate this sense of presence too. So, should we try it together? All right. So, sitting up nice and tall, put your feet on the ground, and then take a breath in and out just to prepare. And then we'll begin. So, breathing in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep going. In for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold out for 4. One more time, breathing in for 4. Feel your lungs expand. Hold the breath in. Feel that pressure around the rib cage. Exhale, let everything relax. Hold the breath out, finding stillness here. And then take a breath in and exhale. And then I would recommend maybe some stillness after that, just kind of feeling the sensations that you feel. Doing a few more rounds if you need can be really, really helpful. So that's what the elite performers use to stay sharp when the stakes are high.
Thanks, Lauren. That's all so very actionable. And I hope we're all taking notes because this is something that we can use always in all these moments that no one is looking and no one will know. So, Lauren, for anyone listening who wants to continue this work or connect with you directly, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'd love to stay connected. The best place to find me is at breathismedicine.com. That's where you can learn more about my work, upcoming sessions, and find your way into a practice that fits you. I guide online and a lot of events around the city as well. You're also welcome to reach out to me directly at lauren@breathismedicine.com. So whether you're new to breathwork or you've been curious, I'd love to chat. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Lauren. Today's conversation reminds us that clarity and steadiness are not simply matters of willpower. They are supported by physiology. The breath is a practical tool available to us in real time, even in the midst of demanding work. Small, consistent practices can support clearer thinking, more measured responses, and sustained professional effectiveness. We appreciate you sharing approaches that our audience can begin applying immediately. Thanks for listening. If today's conversation resonated with you, we invite you to join us. The DC Bar Wellbeing Community is open to those who want to be a part of building a healthier legal profession. Visit the DC Bar website to learn more and become a member at www.dcbar.org. And there's always something happening, from live programs to on-demand resources. DC Bar Communities offers a wide range of well-being activities to meet you where you are. Head to the DC Bar website for a full list of upcoming and on-demand programs. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe to Brief Encounters and be sure to check out Toward Wellbeing, the DC Bar's Lawyer Assistance Program podcast channel for even more conversations dedicated to your well-being. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you the next time.